Hello and welcome back to our final undercoating segment. In this video we're going to take a look at undercoating process for the pan, following up with some clear coat. You can see I've got it completely encapsulated with plastic and some simple drops on the floor, cover for overspray. I've also re-scuff sanded the bottom side and also the inner fenders when we did the other stage of it with the red Scotch-Brite, only because it's been setting for so long. And I've gone through it once before earlier, but sometimes this epoxy, when it sits for a long time, you get a little bit of a skin on there, so it's best just to re-scratch it just to make sure we get good adhesion. I'll blow that off with an air hose, follow it up with a damp rag, and then a reducer just to kind of really clean it. That should help us out with adhesion. Vegas temperature today is going to reach 100 degrees. So we're 76 degrees in the booth right now. I have just enough time to get my first coat on there. Probably by the time that dries and get to our second coat, we're going to be approaching 80 degrees. So I think we'll be all right with that particular material. If this was finished paint, we'll definitely be proceeding with caution as we're walking towards 80 degrees. I think we'll be all right today. A nice baked on finish, that's for sure. Okay guys, let me get my gear set up and let's get this thing going. Okay guys, just got through our first coat, so it's still wet. This is pretty much what your first coat's going to look like. And that'll tighten up after a couple hours. And then really the second coat is just to even out and just kind of smooth things out, get a uniform look. You'll notice also when I'm pulling that trigger, I'm just doing short little blasts. And that's because that particular gun, that's the way it bleeds off the vacuum pressure inside the gun. You only get a little bit of trigger life out of it, and then it needs to catch up. It's just part of the design. But no problem with that being like that, because you can still get a very even, uniform texture. If you left the trigger on, you probably have hot spots and sagging spots, a little too heavy. So maybe it's a good thing. Just gives the wrist and your fingers a little bit of a workout. Okay, we'll let that tighten up for a couple hours and go in there and finish off the second coat. Okay, so she's dried up a full 24 hours. Let's take a look at the sheen and the texture. See how it tightened up overnight. This was that area that we put a patch in there. Hard to see where we can put it in. So nice camouflaging tool. Also got little things going on. Seems to hide everything. Real nice. And straight up, it looks fine. I mean, this stuff I think would be okay. Only problem would be if you didn't top coat it, would be keeping it clean in the long run. It's a little bit porous and have a tendency to collect dust and dirt. Front pan area where we replaced. Alright, looking good. I think she's ready to go. Booth temperature right now, 70 degrees. Had a nice warm day yesterday to bake it on there. So, I'm going to mix up my clear coat, put 2 coats down, we'll take a look at her. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes since our second coat, so I'm going to stop there. Putting the second coat on just a little bit heavier and more thoroughly than the first coat. Our sheen's starting to come around there. The longer this stuff dries out, the more the sheen does come around. It has a tendency to calm down a little bit. When it's first put on there, it looks a little bit shiny. But overall, yeah, very happy with this. So total material to do this car in undercoating with a clear coat over the top of it, I've used a total of about 7 quarts of undercoat, and that's doing 2 coats on everything. And then about 1.5 quarts of our 2060 with just a little bit, maybe about a pint of our 2021 added to that. So 2 quarts of that clear would get you through this no problem. I'm going to give this about another 5 minutes, then I'll start peeling this tape off of here, clean this mess up in here, and we'll take a look at it after she's dried up. Okay guys, we're all cleaned up here in the booth now. It's been about 1 month since completing the bottom side of the pan, and it's been about 3 months since we did our paint on the outside of the shell. So everything now is fully cured up and nice and hard and ready to move on to cut and polish. However, we're in summertime now in Las Vegas, and temperatures next week are going to be approaching 115 degrees, so a little bit hot to be doing any kind of finish work on our clear coating. So I'm going to have to time that between monsoon season, when the temperatures cool down, and go in there and get some work done, and then slowly move it forward. We really want to get the cut and polish done before we start assembling parts on this car because of the mess and also additional weight we're going to be adding to it. Let's just take a quick look around and see how we did on our transition areas. and take a look at C, how it ties in with our paint work. So lighting is a little bit of a problem in here, but overall looking really good. You can see here, this is where I did the transition from the pan to the first stage of our undercoating, was this lip right here. And take a look at it now, it looks like we shot the whole thing at the same time. But breaking it down in sections like that makes it a whole lot easier and takes some of the complexity out of it. And still finishes off very nice, much more controllable than trying to do too much at the same time. But very happy with the way that turned out. Looking good. I think it'll look real sharp, start bolting some parts on here. So I had a question from a new viewer, Frank. Frank is restoring a 1970 911T, a real do-it-yourself guy. So far, Frank has done everything himself. He's stripped the car down to bare metal, done all the body work, done the priming, all the various sanding stages, and is approaching finished paint. And Frank reached out and was asking my thoughts on what I thought if you've had no previous experience using finished materials or any of the paint guns, do I think he'd be able to paint the car by himself? And absolutely, I think he could. However, there was a unique twist in his question, and that was the actual color of the paint. On this particular car, we can do it the way I've done it in this series. We can break it down in the panels, the front side, back side, in those ways. Because of its color, it's a solid color. It's easy to do and match up, and won't be any problem. However, Frank's car is a metallic. In a metallic car, really, you have to mock the car back up, and you have to shoot the fenders, the hood, the doors, and everything has to be blended together and toned together with a proper gun, proper atomization, and equipment. And that is really quite a complicated task. It's hard to do by yourself because of all the mocking that has to be done. You're going to need an assistant in the booth with you, and quite lengthy. It could take all day just to spray out your car by the time you mock it and get your colors down. So timing would be really important also. So I just want to share that with you. The way we've painted this car in this series, real simple, real easy to do for a first-time guy going at this, or a beginner, to get a real nice quality paint job. However, if it is metallic or has graphics, I would really recommend getting some assistance with a professional, whether he actually do the finish spray for you or work with you on the process. So I really wish you the best of luck, Frank. I wish I had a simpler answer for you on that. And you could give it a try, but the problem is if paint goes bad and something doesn't quite work out for you, it's so much work to get back to the beginning. It's just not worth it. I think you've done such a good job getting it this far by yourself. Finish paint really is quite simple if you have the right tooling and the right environment and a little bit of experience, no problem. So best of luck with that, and please let us know how that turns out. Okay guys, well that's going to conclude our final paint and undercoating process for the series. If you decide to take on the finish paint and undercoating aspect of your car, I wish you the best of luck. When in doubt, just go slow, break it down, and you'll end up with a really nice result. If you hit a tough spot, it never hurts to reach out to a professional and get some guidance. So next up, we're going to cut and polish this car, and then move on to some assembly. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.